We have Eshomomo Imodu and Tijesu Adeoye in our Abuja studio for the FCT brief. It's a beautiful Monday. In Akwana, over to you, Abuja.
Good morning, Ria. Good morning, Lagos. And good morning, Nigeria. It's good to be back here again. It's another beautiful week here in the city of Abuja. And we're here to unpack all that we have for you today on the table. So sit tight and, join us on our conversation this morning.
Yeah, good morning, Nigerians, and it's a beautiful Monday morning. And with the rain yesterday, the weather is quite cold this morning. TJ, I don't know how you feel about the weather this morning.
Well, I feel okay. I'm well rested, as you can see. I feel refreshed.
Right, so I told you to take some rest on Friday.
I took to your advice, so.
Okay.
Let's go to what we have for you today. Now, hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us on FCT Brief. This morning, we'll be reviewing the growing storm between one of Nigeria's most powerful labor unions and Africa's biggest industrial conglomerate. The Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, Pengassan, has declared a nationwide strike in reaction to what it calls an unjust mass sacking of its members by the Dangote Group. This dispute, already gaining attention across the country, has sent ripples through the oil and gas sector, raising fresh concerns about industrial harmony and economic stability. Indeed, the development has sparked heated debate. Should the rights of workers to job security outweigh a company's prerogative to restructure its workforce? Pengassan insists that due process was ignored, alleging intimidation and unfair labor practices.
On the other hand, the Dangote Group has maintained that its actions are guided by business realities and that the union is overreaching its bounds. Now, with the strike threat looming large, Nigerians are left to wonder what this face-off means for petroleum supply, investment confidence, and the wider economy. Although the federal government has assured Nigerians that the supply of refined petroleum products will remain uninterrupted despite the ongoing tensions between Dangote and the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, Pengassan. However, we will be examining the key issues at play: the legality of the union's action, the company's obligations to its workers, and the potential impact on everyday Nigerians. To help us unpack the Pengassan versus Dangote standoff is Emmanuel Anyebunam. He is a legal practitioner and joining us right in the studio. Nice to have you here.
Thank you so much.
Also joining us is Nuhu Toro, the General Secretary of the Trade Union Congress. He's joining via Zoom. Good morning, Mr. Toro.
Good morning. Just a point of correction. Okay. I'm Secretary General, not General Secretary. Thank you for having me.
Secretary General, Trade Union Congress. Now, let me start with you, Mr. Toro. The Pengassan has called for a nationwide strike and thereby paralyzing activities in the country. Would you say it is proper that when you have a dispute with that some people say is the internal affairs of a particular company, that the entire nation is being made to go through such hardship by calling for this strike? Now, where do you draw the line between internal affairs of a company and the right of workers? If you take into cognizance, for instance, a union like ASU, that also operational in Nigeria, and does not force owners of private universities to join them in strike, but you have Nupeng or you have Pengassan asking that private-owned companies should also join their union. I'd like you to help us throw light on this right of workers and the right of employers.
Okay, let me start by saying, even in United States of America, where capitalism is being driven, they have unions. And the issue basically is not about whether somebody is coerced to join a union or not. The issue, what triggered where we are today, is a violation of an understanding that we had entered into ab initio with Dangote. And the understanding is clear that workers' rights will be respected. I need our viewers to understand that unionization is not an employer's prerogative. It is the right of the worker. So anything you do to try to truncate that is first a violation of the law and secondly a violation of his right. So
Okay. Yeah, I think you'll help us out in that. Would you like to respond quickly to this?
Well, let me do that. Actually, this issue really has been on for not less than 3 weeks to our knowledge, to every Nigerian. Then basically, like I said, we have 3 parties now: the refinery, the trade union, and the workers who are involved. Within this contest, they are all guided by law. And the supreme law of the land is the Constitution that gives right of association. So you can belong to a union, and then that right, within that specific right, the right of the ordinary Nigerian who was not a party to all these is now affected, because you are calling for what? A more or less a strike action that now involves each and every one of us. Then the issue is this: there is a contract, there is an obligation. We are a constitutional democracy limited by law. I have always asked, there are courts, specifically the industrial actions. We have industrial courts for this issue to be resolved. And nobody had done that. I remember that when this issue took off initially, the Minister for Labor called for a parley between both parties. As at then, Pengassan did not refuse to honor that invitation. Now it has gone to a level where now they will call on strike, and the action will affect each and every one of us. Nobody has seen the contract between these workers and Dangote, which is, I repeat, is a private organization. Then the union on its own, yes, you are taking a collective action on this. When you have that, you take Dangote to court. Or on the other way, Dangote himself may take you to court. Public order is a collective right for every Nigerian. And we talk of peace, law, and progress of the country at this critical time. So that's my take on this. We are not moving at the right direction so far as I'm concerned in this issue. So our private or personal interests, however important it is to us, must also be taken to what? Overriding public interest in this particular subject.
All right, Mr. Emmanuel. Mr. Toro, you heard Mr. Emmanuel there saying that this action may not be taken into cognizance, you know, the interest of the overall Nigerians. It seems to be more of personal or selfish interest. Do you have anything to say to that?
Well, first, let me correct an erroneous impression. It's not true that Pengassan did not honor the invitation of the Honorable Minister. Pengassan was represented at that meeting. And it was at that meeting that we had an understanding that workers in Dangote refinery would be allowed to unionize. So, and secondly, we also agreed that arising from that intervention, no workers should be victimized. So in between, Dangote decided to sack over 800 workers, and somebody is sitting there telling us to go to court. Are you bothered about Dangote's angle of violating the understanding we entered into? No. We should be fair in dispensing an opinion. We had an understanding. We signed an understanding that within a space of 2 months, unionization will have been concluded. And halfway, the man decided to violate the understanding we had. Does that suggest he has monopoly again of understanding? So that was what triggered it. And the union is saying, no, we cannot allow that level of impunity to happen in Nigeria. And the law, sir, the law allows us to withdraw our services. So what the workers in Dangote refinery simply have done is to withdraw their services.
So is this in the interest of Nigerians or in the interest of Pengassan? That's my question.
It's in the interest of Nigeria, because the workers are also Nigerians. They are patriotic Nigerians.
All right. Well, everyone seems to be addressing the sack of 800 workers by Dangote, but no one is really addressing his claims. But we'll come back to that very shortly. We need to take this quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. We still have more for you on the program. Stay with us. We'll be right back. With us now, we'll continue our conversation on the ongoing dispute between Pengassan, Dangote, and the federal government and Nigerians in the middle. Now, like before we went on the break, I was saying that everyone seems to be talking about the dismissal of 800 Nigerian workers. That's the headline. But no one is really addressing the claims made by Dangote of sabotage. Now, if this is true, is it not an economic crime that is capable of crippling refining and also the supply chain? Shouldn't this be considered as a more serious threat?
That's where I am heading to. Like, if you have listened to me, and I keep harping on it, overall public interest should be taken into in this issue. Then basically, we had not even, because I expected the press really to have called for a town hall meeting over this issue, because it's a national issue, a national crisis looming.
Are we the ones to call for town hall meeting?
Oh,
I thought it's the federal government that is supposed to be mediating.
No. The press owns the public opinion and the public space on that. They would have called those parties, the entire parties, to as at now, and then discuss it. Then on the next issue, like the man have said that they went on dialogue, they would have taken their issue back to the Minister of Labour if they felt that Dangote has reneged in here what they agreed. Then on that conflict, like I said, whatever happens, it is only a court of competent jurisdiction that will be able to decide and then now state the basic stance of all the parties in this issue. It has not gone to that level. Or maybe deliberately, they don't want, like he said, that they are not interested in the court when 800 people are sacked. Now the issue is this: have we seen their contract of employment? Now when this happened, what was the issue? Was this joining of the labor union? Because even we know, even in public service, once you get up to the position of a director, you are deliberately taken away from labor issues, despite the provision of the Constitution. So these are the issues, collective agreement, this and this, and all these terms would have been brought to book, to the fore, for the public to know what actually is an issue. And I have always said that we should also bear in mind that this is a private sector. It is not a public quoted company. Neither do we have the board and directors of Dangote are all private enterprise, whichever way you look at it. So that is the basic issue. If there is a problem now in Total or Shell, I don't think all of us will mind there. And we must see it in that light.
Okay, Mr. Toro, let me come to you with this thought. There is a conversation in the public space saying that it's more than just the sack of 800 workers, and that why is it that Pengassan and your union are always trying to weaponize a strike to drive home some other interests. Like people say the game actually started when some people said, look, they prefer to be importing fuel, and Dangote was busy providing, we have the local refinery, and they said they wanted imported fuel. At one point, also, the argument was that he wanted to provide 4,000 trucks to begin to supply directly, and some persons' interests were against it. And now you have the strike issue. Is it about the strike or about the trucks and the argument in the public space that it is just a political gimmick to kind of weaken the influence and capacity of Dangote? I'd like you to respond to this.
Well, you see, to hang a dog, you give it a bad name. The assertion that there was sabotage is not correct. The reason why Dangote, came out to say workers were sabotaging him was to cover his track. I told you earlier we had an understanding signed by both parties that status quo ante will be maintained, that arising from the last meeting and resolution we had, no worker will be victimized. Dangote has violated that. He has victimized and laid off our workers. So he needed something to justify his action. And that is why he's hiding under the guise. Why didn't Dangote go back to the ministry to say, there is sabotage, I want to sack? Or like Barrister said, go to court and said, we had an understanding, I'm a gentleman, I signed an understanding with the labor unions that no worker will be victimized. But right now I'm confronted with sabotage and therefore I want to go to court. All of that was not done. All of that was not done, only for him to arbitrarily dismiss them. The issue, the crux of the matter is the fact that these workers have joined Pengassan. And from all indication, it seems as if Dangote and the union cannot relate in the same environment. That was why I took you down history, that even in the United States of America, the hub of capitalism that is profit-driven, there are unions. Unions are human beings. And first thing first, they understand that their means of livelihood comes from that workplace. We had had cause to commend Dangote several times for providing jobs for Nigerian citizens. But what we will not accept from Dangote is providing slave labor. Slave labor in these circumstances is denying them their right. Maybe even more disturbing is, in our opinion, the monopoly and double standard of Dangote. This person in question enjoy massive support, protection, and incentives from the government, but turn around to deny Nigerian workers their fundamental right, while extending preferential treatment to expatriates within the same system. This is nothing short of economic oppression and modern-day slavery. And we are saying no, that is unacceptable to Pengassan and the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria.
Now, Mr. Toro, a consumer group claims that the union's protest is a desperate attempt to cripple the refinery, Dangote refinery. And you, on the other hand, are saying is a protection of workers' rights. Now, the federal government and Nigerians are in the middle. And the federal government is saying that it hopes that both parties will resolve this matter in good faith. Now, is there any chance of Dangote and Pengassan reaching a middle ground in this matter?
Absolutely. In industrial relations, is give and take. We are not maintaining any hard stand. We are open and available for discussion. If Dangote, for instance, reinstates these workers right away, we will give instruction to our members to resume work immediately. That is the crux. It's just our concern is violation of over 800 workers' rights and the dismissal. So, very simple. If today Dangote, reinstate those workers, I can tell you for free, we are ready. We are ready to also maintain status quo ante.
Okay, Delon, let me come to you with this. Is it that Dangote is scared of the union? Because if there was an agreement and you did not go back to the same body that brokered the agreement, you decided to unilaterally sack 800 workers. That is huge in any system. It has capacity of destabilizing the system. So what is the Dangote refinery or Dangote group scared of about the union?
Well, you see, I am not a part of the Dangote group. Neither do I know their policies. But my own impression is that since what is in issue, we are all Nigerians, and we've seen what our four moribund refineries affect us for decades. At this particular time, I expect the government, and I still go back to government, that it is the government that owns this as a duty and responsibility to wade into this issue and then be able to do what? Resolve it, and then if there is any infraction, like I said, based on what they signed, call the groups to order, and then can now on that scale ask Dangote to explain if 800 Nigerians will go home over this issue and they have family and they have future, then it will happen that. But for the government itself to be on the sideline and then allow Dangote and Pengassan to go on for basically more than a month over this sensitive issue, and now it has generated to a level of strike and the rest. We shouldn't do this. This is not it is incumbent on the government and then whatever regulatory agency that is involved to step into this, now call the parties together and then come to them order. If you have a memorandum of understanding or a resolution, the minister was the person who was at the head when this happened, then it is left for them now to look at the issue and then the other interests involved. We cannot definitely take away the other interests over importation and subsidy. We have said all through. This has been a generational body, more or less. So as at this issue, what I feel is that the government should wade into the fore, take an objective stance. We are all talking about governance and this. United States, you gave an example. Let us go back to the United States. In 1962, precisely 1st of October, then James Meredith issue. University of Mississippi was an all-white university. J.F. Kennedy felt that having sworn to protect and deserve and defend the constitution of this country, he marched Meredith, the first black man who was to that university that day, used U.S. Marine and the SA power. One person died, but he went to that university, and that was the end. So the government should be able to read the Riot Act, then, if possible, with what? The big stick, in order to do what? Keep order and sanity within the basic area where it is. I am not standing for Dangote. I'm not a part of Dangote. I have not even seen the letters of employment of what is involved. I wasn't a part of the negotiation. I did not see their resolution. But what I said is this, that the average Nigerian will now pay for this.
Which
is
I
a
believe
very
Nigerians
serious
are already even paying for it. Mr. Toro, now this development has sent shockwaves down the downstream sector, because we have seen an increase in pump price in some filling station and also growing fuel queues. Now the federal government also says there'll be no disruption to, the supply despite, this ongoing dispute. Do you think that the federal government can keep this promise with this ongoing dispute unresolved?
Well, I'm not the federal government, so I cannot hold brief for them. But I can tell you for free that the government on its part have tried to reach out. And it's because of our availability disposed nature that we've been talking. We talked up till early hours of this morning, around 1 a.m. this morning, trying to nip this in the bud. But one thing, the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria and Pengassan will not allow is any corporation, regardless of size or wealth, to trample over the dignity and right of Nigerians. And that is why we stand ready to act decisively in defense of our members in Pengassan. The workers have indicated that they want to belong to Pengassan. They have joined. We shouldn't use or fly any campaign of calumny to say there is sabotage. Whereas we know that the one reason why Dangote decided to sack the workers is because they joined Pengassan. So that in itself, like I said, is a violation of their right, because it's their fundamental right, first and foremost, to belong to any union of their choice. It's in the Nigerian Constitution. Section 40, guarantees your freedom of association. And Nigeria has ratified ILO Convention 87 and 98. And what these two conventions talks about is right to unionization and right to collective bargaining, which is what these workers are yearning for. So if the government is able to bring Dangote to the negotiating table, I can tell you, from the union side, we are ready to dispense with this matter. Like I said, don't forget, that is where we earn our living. And we wouldn't want a situation whereby that organization or refinery will close shop, because a lot of workers get their daily pay from there. And we understand this situation and we sympathize with him. But what we will not accept is a situation whereby we are enslaved in our own country. That is unacceptable. So we will also want to use this medium to urge Dangote to come back to the negotiating table so that we can find a middle ground. And part of the conditionalities we've given is that we want an immediate and unconditional reinstatement of all the affected workers. First thing first, let them go back to work. And we also demand a public apology from Dangote management.
All right, Mr.
Because
Toro.
they have misinformed Nigerians.
Indeed. Well, we hope that at the end of the day, the rights of all Nigerians are protected in this matter. Since all parties claim that they are working in the interest of Nigerians, we hope to see that happen. Well, we'll keep a close eye on this to see how this matter unfolds. Mr. Toro, thank you so much for your time with us on the program. Also, Mr. Emmanuel, it's a pleasure speaking with you this morning. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you also for being a part of the conversation. We'll now hand you over to our Lagos studio where Ria Abdul and the rest of the team are standing by to continue with the rest of the show.
All right. Thank you so much, Abuja. That was a very timely conversation. Thank you.